News 46. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome to Semper Fi. I'm your host, Mark Bonstein, or as I was commonly referred to as Staff Sergeant B. Today is going to be on influential leaders, but first I'll do this day in U.S. military history. November 17th. In the Navy in 1913, a ship sailed through the Panama Canal. That was the first one. And in general, in 1914, the U.S. declared Panama Canal a neutral zone. And in the Marine Corps in 1917, the Leatherneck magazine was established. And in the Army in 1944, around Anchorage, both U.S. and the 1st and 9th Armies advanced to the right German forces facing the forces with the U.S. 3rd and 7th enemies. So today's influential leader is going to be on John Basilone. But first I'm going to run a quick segment from my favorite movie, The Pacific, HBO miniseries from Steven Spielberg, kind of give you an insight what John Basilone did. And then we'll talk about it.
John! Johnson, pull it out!
That's JP for you. How much ammo you got?
Half a bell.
That's it?
Yeah.
This is our last box too, Sergeant.
You want to see the conclusion and climax, rent the movie The Pacific. It's real good. One of the things they don't explain in the movie is that Basilone had a machine gun on the go for 3 days and nights without sleep or rest or food. He was in a good emplacement and causing the Japanese lots of trouble, not only firing his machine gun, but also using his pistol. So that's who we're doing it on today, is John Basilone, Congressional Medal of Honor recipient. John Basilone was born on November 4th of 1916, and the last day was February 19th of 45. And he was one that got the Medal of Honor And he went back out and fought, and he died on the field, which is why nowadays when you get the Medal of Honor, you no longer see combat. They keep you in the rear with the gear. So he was going up in the ranks. He was a Marine gunny, and he received the Medal of Honor for his actions in the Battle of Guadalcanal on World War II. And he was the only enlisted Marine in World War II to receive the Medal of Honor and the Navy Cross. The Navy Cross is it's up there, not as high as the Medal of Honor. But prior to Basilone being in the Marines, he served in the Army for 3 years. And he was in the Philippines before joining the Marine Corps in 1940. And after attending training, Basilone deployed to Guantánamo Bay, Cuba, and the Solomon Islands, and evidently to Guadalcanal, where he held off 3,000 Japs after his 15-member unit was reduced to 2 or other men. He was killed in action in the Battle of Iwo Jima, after which he posthumously honored with the Navy Cross. Nickname was Manila John. He liked the Philippines so much, he always talked about it, and he always liked being in Manila. And anybody who was ever in the Philippines, Manila was a happening place. Well, it was in '78, so I imagine it was back when he was there. And we covered, he was born in November 4th of 1916, and he was born in Buffalo, New York. He died February 19th of 45, the age of 28, on Iwo Jima, killed in action. And his place of burial is Arlington National Cemetery. And he was in the Marines, and he served in the Army from 1934 to 1937, and then in the Marine Corps from 1940 to 1945. And he retired, would have retired a gunnery sergeant. His unit was Dog Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division. Then he was with Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 27th Regiment, and 5th Marine Division. And his battles and wars were World War II, Battle of Guadalcanal, and the Battle of Iwo Jima. There's the other fun fact that he was born 6th of 10 kids. His father, Salvatore Basilone, emerged from Naples in 1903 and settled in Jersey. His mother, Dora, was born in 1889 and grew up in Marville. 6 of 10 kids. Wow. That'd be enough. Okay, as a military service, Basilone worked as a golf caddy on a local country club before joining the military. He enlisted in the Army and completed his 3-year enlistment with service in the Philippines, where he was a champion boxer as well. After returning home, he worked as a truck driver in Maryland. After driving trucks a few months, he wanted to go back to Manila and believed he can get there faster as a Marine than in the Army. So he re-enlisted in the Marines in July of 1940. And he was in Baltimore when he did this. And then he went to a recruit training regiment at the recruit depot of Parris Island, followed by training at the Marine Barracks in Quantico and in New River. And the Corps sent him to Guantánamo Bay, Cuba for his next assignment, and then to Guadalcanal and in the Solomon Islands. As a member of Dog Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, and the 1st Marine Division. And later on, and then it goes into Guadalcanal, that while on Guadalcanal, his fellow Marines gave him the nickname Manila John, due to his prior service in the Philippines and how much he talked about it. From the movie and his past history, he really liked to drink. So if you ever watch the movie, I don't think they really exaggerate on that. And then during the battle for Henderson Field, his unit came under attack by a regiment of approximately 3,000 soldiers from the Japanese division. On October 24th of 1942, Japanese forces began a frontal attack using machine guns, grenades, and mortars against the American heavy machine guns. Basilone commanded 2 sections of machine guns that fought for the next 2 days until only Basilone and 2 other Marines continued fighting. Basilone moved an extra gun into position and maintained controlled fire against the incoming Japanese forces. He then repelled and manned another machine gun holding the defensive line until replacements arrived, as battles raged. Ammunition became critically low while supply lines cut off. Basilone fought through hostile grounds to resupply his machine guns with urgent needed ammunition. Towards the dawn of the battle, Basilone fought Japanese soldiers using only a .45 handgun and a machete. By the end of the engagement, the Japanese was virtually abolished. For his actions during this battle, he received the nation's highest award for bravery, and that was the Medal of Honor. So, and then I said earlier how after the show, you seen the part of the segment, how he went for 3 days and nights without any sleep. And that's the part in the movie they don't show you, is that he was just shooting, and that's how they got critically low on a lot of their ammo. So, after receiving the Medal of Honor, he returned to the United States and participated in war bonds, tours, and his arrival was the highest publicized and hometown held in a parade of honors when he returned. And his parade was held on a Sunday, September 19th of 1943, and it drew huge crowds with thousands of people, including politicians, celebrities, and national press. And he was really a hometown hero by this time in the National News and Life magazine and Fox Movie Town News. After the parade, he toured the country raising money for the war bonds and achieved his celebrity status. And all this time, he really wasn't a happy guy when he was doing all this. He didn't really enjoy that kind of prestige. He wanted to be out the front lines fighting. So later on, he wound up going up to General Vandegrift. Seeing as I was a Medal of Honor recipient, he was able to kind of go up the food chain and tell him, look, I don't want to be in the back. I don't mind selling war bonds, but I'd be better, training Marines, and I don't want to get out. His enlistment was up, and he decided he wanted to stay in, and General Vandegrift gave him permission to stay in, and they let him re-enlist. And then he was stationed at Camp Pendleton to train troops, and he wanted to go back into the front lines and fight. And so they let him. While stationed at Camp Pendleton, he met his future wife, Lena Marie Rigi, who served as a sergeant in the Marine Corps Women's Reserve. They were married at St. Mary's Stars of the Sea Church in Oceanside on July 10th of 1944 at the Carlsbad Hotel. I don't even know if that's around anymore. Then, after his request to return to the fleet was approved, he was assigned to Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 27th Marine Regiment, 5th Marine Division during the invasion of Iwo Jima on February 19th of 1945. He was serving as a machine gun section leader in action against the Japanese forces on Red Beach 2. During the battle, the Japanese counteracted their fire at the incoming American troops from heavily fortified blockbusters staged throughout the island. With his unit pinned down, Basilone made his way around the side of the Japanese position until he was directly on top of the blockhouse. He then attacked with grenades and demolitions, single-handedly destroying an entire strong point as its defensive garrison. He then fought his way towards the airfield, number 1, and aided in American tanks that were trapped in enemy minefields under intense mortar and artillery barrages. He guided heavy vehicles over the horizon to safety despite heavy weapons fire from the Japanese. As he moved along the ridge, the airfield, he was killed by a Japanese mortar shrapnel. His actions helped Marines participate in the Japanese defense and take over the landing beaches during this crucial early stages of the invasion. For his valor on Iwo Jima, he was posthumously awarded the second highest decoration, the Navy Cross. So he is in Arlington Cemetery, as we said earlier, in Virginia. His grave can be found in section 12, grave 384. Even has a grid, and he, had he lived, he would have. But he was a very decorated Marine. And we go into his Medal of Honor from President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And it reads to Sergeant John Basilone. And the following is forth in the following citation. For extraordinary heroism and the conspiracy gallantry in the actions against enemy Japanese forces above and beyond the call of duty, while serving with the 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division in Laguna area, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands, on 24 and 25th October of 1942. While the enemy was hammering at the Marines' defensive positions, Sergeant Basilone, in charge of 2 sections of heavy machine gun, fought valiantly to check and salvage the determined assault in the fierce frontal attack from the Japanese, blasting his guns with grenades and mortar fire. One of Sergeant Basilone's sections with its gun crew was put out of action, leaving only 2 men able to carry on. Moving an extra gun into position and placing in action them under controlled fire. Replacements another, and personal man in gallantly holding the line until replacements arrived a little later. With ammunition critically low and supply lines cut off, Sergeant Basilone, at great risk of his life and in the face of continuous enemy attack, battled his way through the hostile lines with the urgency needed to shell for his gunners, thereby contributing to a large measurement of the vital of the Japanese regiment. His great personal valor and courage were in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Naval Services. And that's his Medal of Honor citation. Then they go into his Navy Cross that was presented to him. Posthumously means got it after you got killed, so they still award it to you. And this one is really more lengthy than his Medal of Honor. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing in its entirety, but for extraordinary heroism while serving as a leader of the machine gun section, Company C, 1st Battalion, 27th Marines, and the 5th Marine Division in action against enemy forces on Iwo Jima. It was a volcanic island, in 1945. By this time, he was a gunnery sergeant. He boldly defended and smashing bombardments of heavy caliber fire to work his way around the flank. And this one goes into how the number 1 replacement going to the airfield and how he took the shrapnel from the mortars on the Solomon Islands. And his unwavering devotion to duty through the battle conflict was an inspiration to his comrades and reflects the highest credit upon Gunnery Sergeant Basilone, United States Naval Services, and gallant gave his life for those serving his country. So, other honors that Sergeant Basilone had gotten, he received numerous honors, including a namesake of the United States Navy destroyer, a postage stamp, and several plaques, numerous geographical landmarks, a bust in San Diego's Little Italy, and a pizza named for him, Pizza Basilone, and a residing building in Montclair State University. And the ship, the USS Basilone, commissioned, and it was a destroyer in 1949. The ship's keel was laid down on July 7th of 1945 in Orange, Texas, and launched on December 21st of 1945. Now, his widow, Lena Marie Basilone, sponsored the ship, so she got to break the bottle to christen it. And his building and landmarks, he has named in fractions of his Marine Corps base, Camp Pendleton, including an entry point onto the base from Interstate 5 called Basilone Road. Any of us that are stationed there know exactly where that is. And a section of Interstate 5 running through the base called Gunnery Sergeant Gunnery Sergeant Basilone Memorial Highway. And there's a parachute landing zone called Basilone Drop Zone. So keeping up with his name and all the Marine Corps history we have about him, he's up there just as all the other famous Marines, Chesty Puller, Smedley Butler, John Basilone. We have a rich history as far as Marines. And the parade, the memorial parade for Basilone along Somerset Street in the hometown has been held since 1981 to become the celebrity of close-knit community. In media, on November 10, 2005, the U.S. Postal Service, the Distinguishing Marine Stamp honoring the Marine Corps, including Basilone. And the Pacific 2010 miniseries, along with other Marines, became the 10-part HBO miniseries, The Pacific, and that's where you get to see where he portrayed John Cena stars as Basilone, S-E-D-A, John Cena, and he was the one who portrays him. And in addition to honors bestowed on the Marine Corps, a wide variety of non-military institutes have also chosen their name based on Basilone. Some of these include the football field at Baywater Rattan High School is called Basilone Field. And on the wall of the field house next to the field is a mural honoring Basilone. The Knights of Columbus Council 13264 in the hometown, his name is in honor. An overpass at Somerville Circle in Somerville, New Jersey on U.S. Highway 202 and 206 that goes under the New Jersey Turnpike across the Rattan River is named the Basilone Bridge. The new bridge that crosses the Rattan River in Rattan at First Avenue and Canal Street, a memorial site featuring him holding a water-cooled Browning machine gun, is located in the intersection of Old Yoke Road and Canal Street in Rattan, New Jersey. Childhood friend Philip Orlando sculpted the statue. A plaque in the United States Navy memorialized his Washington, D.C. A burst of Little Italy, San Diego at Fair and Island Street. The war memorial is dedicated to the residents of Little Italy who served in World War II and in Korea. And in the area is called Pizza Basilone, we talked about earlier. Other Sons of Italy in America, Lodge 2442 is named in honor of Basilone. Wow, he just has a lot. And the Rattan Public Library is the Basilone Room, where he kept memorabilia about him in 1944. Army barracks from Washington State were moved to the site in front of Hanson. Okay, in California, and rebuilt as 1,500 apartments for returning GIs, and that was named the Basilone Homes, and is used until about 1955, and is now a site of a golf course. So, got a little down on dirty on the Medal of Honor recipient John Basilone. So that's my influential leader this week. So meet us next week at Semper Fi. And remember, you got a story, I want to hear it, and I want to share it with everyone else. So until then, we'll see you next week. Semper Fi. Have a good day.